Welcome! Coming up on this week's Tech Show, we catch up with one of the most iconic brands in mountain biking, we clutch at some stems, and we say hey hey to some reborn cult classics. Okay, we are very lucky because we've chatted with an industry legend. We've talked about the small builder based in Southern California before, and he's claimed a huge number of wins in World Cups and World Championships, and often not with his name and his brand name on the down tube of the bike. No, it's been under wraps of other brands. That builder, of course, is Jeff Steber, and the iconic brand is Intense. Jeff has really helped steer and develop full suspension bikes from, well, pretty much from the off. The first Intense was full suspension. And his early kind of swing link bikes, he's worked through multi-links, he's worked through 4-bar VPP, and now up to 6-bar designs. And he's also worked with some really incredible racers like Kathy Sethler, Sean Palmer, Chris Kavarak, Aaron Gwynn, and now to future fast racers like Lou Ferguson and Millie Onset and Joe Breeden. And we're going to chat with him about the latest step change in frame design, especially for the downhill market, and that's gearboxes. Okay, we're joined by the incredible Jeff Steber, who has, with his brand Intense, got a legacy in downhill and in mountain biking that is pretty much peerless. It's second to none. So we've had iconic bikes from Intense before, a wonderful series starting from Sean Palmer's sort of 95, 96 era, where there was this incredible M1, or the first iteration. And now we fast forward quite a chunk of time, which is quite embarrassing for me because it feels like a while, to this, the new M1, and we've got, well, something I never dreamed that we'd see on a race downhill bike. We've got a belt drive from Carbon and from Gates, and we've got a gearbox. Can you just chat us through a little bit about this bike?
Well, this the actual idea internally started a few years ago when we were working with John Hall, who is now our technical director, but he always had this idea that he really wanted to pursue the gearbox bike in general.
Yep.
Fast forward a little bit, Joe Breeden also had this same desire and then made a connection for us with Pinion and Gates. And it just so happened that the architecture of the frame of the M1 was really open, or it was easy to adapt it pretty quickly.
Okay, yep.
To the pinion gearbox and the carbon drive belt. So that said, we were able to get a prototype up and running really quickly last year already, and so this year the team, two of the team members, Joe Breeden and Millie Onset, are planning to be racing on a little more evolved version of what you're seeing here. This was one of the first prototypes that I kind of, I want to say Frankenbike together.
Okay.
But that said, like I said, it was very easy to adapt it with a few minor alterations and brackets and things here and there. And this is also running a smart shift system, so it's electronic shifting, which was one of the other really big improvements to the system that I think opened people's mind over the original kind of manual push-pull system with a kind of a grip shift component to it. Yeah. But anyway, everyone who's ridden it is pretty thrilled with it, and there's certain things you notice right off. How quiet it is, for one. You literally, from the words of John Hall, you have to pretty much retune your suspension initially because of the difference in the unsprung weight, getting some of that off of there, and how the rear, the suspension responds a little differently.
Okay.
Yeah. And also I think the weight, the mass of the bike being, the center of gravity very low in the bike, and actually adding a little weight into that area and taking it off of others also affects how the bike, feels. So
I guess it's that kind of mythical unsprung versus sprung mass, where bikes traditionally have always struggled because we've had dangly derailleur bits and things like that.
We're taking the weight off of where you don't want it and putting it where you want it, and it does affect things like suspension tuning and that sort of stuff for sure. Weight transfer. Even, like your dynamic geometry versus your static geometry, it changes a little bit with that little bit of extra weight in a different spot, how it feels when you're riding it. Yeah, so but anyway, it's going to be an interesting season, I think, there at the World Cup, because there's multiple teams that are going to be out there running these, and there's also this purse that's been set on the program with Gates. So, you know, I mean, that's kind of in the back of our minds, and first and foremost is learning about this and trying to be innovative and what's the next new thing to push downhill and the downhill bike technology a little further forward.
And I guess Intense is unlike any other brand in the fact that you as a founder are still involved and still heavily involved in prototyping. John Hall's there. I kind of worked almost at the same time, but not on the same team as a mechanic. So he's got kind of real kudos and huge depth of knowledge. But then you're here able to fabricate sort of the conversations between those racers to create something. So is that still really important for Intense?
It is, and you know, we like to, it's kind of like the artistry meets engineering, you know, craftsman kind of aspect, but there's, you know, this digital component, I call it analog digital, is a very big part of our design process. And we have a really strong team, and just internally here, and you mentioned John Hall, who's come on as a technical advisor. And to me, you know, having him, he's also a craftsman, and the kind of MacGyver, mentality where he can make anything work, or he has lots of years of experience on the World Cup tour as a mechanic. So he pulls that into here. It's been really helpful. I have those skills, and then our lead in-house engineer, Byron Anderson, is coming. You can see there's a whole new design aesthetic and everything that we're presenting on this, starting with this bike and some of the newer products that you're going to see in the next couple of years.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. That's really amazing.
All right.
If you found it interesting, let me know in the comments. Such an honour to chat with a legend of the sport, and also such a nice guy as well. Amazing to see all the design and development that goes on behind those closed doors of the Temecula HQ of Intense, and really good to see the development of the new bike that they had at Sea Otter too. Really fascinating stuff. Loved it. News! We've got a lot, so hold on to your hats, or should that be helmets? Canyon have released an all-new Spectral AL trail bike. So the AL has been designed to mimic the ride of the CF. AL for aluminium, aluminum, CF for the carbon fibre. But because it's aluminium, it's at a more affordable price point. Okay, we've got 140mm of travel on the rear, we've got 150mm of travel up front, 64-degree head angle, 76.5-degree seat angle, and we've got options to run either mixed wheel size, so 650B on the back and 29, or full 29er. And it's built to be tough, a do-it-all, no-frills trail bike. And that's why it's got the same Category 4 strength rating as their Strive Enduro race bike. It's available in 3 different specs, so we've got the AL5, the AL6, then there's the AL Canyon Collective Fabio Vidmar edition. I know, you've all been waiting for that one, haven't you? Okay, why is it interesting? It's interesting because the AL5 comes in at €2,299, that's £2,150, and you get RockShox suspension front and rear, Shimano Dior group set, and then a nice finishing kit from Canyon. That is banging money for that bike. It is really good. The AL6 sets you back a little bit more, so we're looking at €2,999 or 2,799 UK pounds. But you get a bump up to Fox Performance suspension, and you get SLX group set and DC Swiss wheels, so a really nice spec for the money. Okay, the bike we have here, the Fabio Vidmar edition, steps things up even further. We've got the SRAM S-Series Access group set, so that's, well, the wireless fancy tech. It's got RockShox Ultimate suspension. It's got a custom designed paint job from Fabio Vidmar, and yeah, this one can be yours from just €3,999 or £3,749. It is, yeah, a very jazzy spec. Interesting stuff. Let me know if you like it down in the comments. New from Bluegrass, we've got shorts. So we've got 2 new shorts. We've got the Arto and the Aura. These are undershorts, and they're designed to give you more protection for downhill or bike park rides. So they've got padded inserts all over the place. We've got hip, thigh, tailbone areas, and it's a SASTEC hip insert that also means that it gets a level 1 certification. So they are very good. If you want longer ride protection as well, so you get all the same padding, but you also get a chamois, well, that's the Aura short for you. So the Arto, which is just the padded protection one, that's £100, €100 or $160, and the Aura, so that's the one with all the padding plus the chamois, £120, €120 or $190. Good stuff. Most stems these days are either forged or CNC'd, or forged then CNC'd. So this new clutch stem from Starling certainly stands out. Why? Well, it's handmade, it's brazed steel. Yeah, a steel stem. It's available in a 35mm length and 31.8 clamp diameter, and that's it. That's your options on lengths and diameters. But what it lacks in length options, it makes up for in colours, because it's available in a really wide range of powder coated colours, including Starling's legacy colour options from their line of frames, of course. Pricing is unusual and different too. It's £175. So yeah, let me know in the comments if that's your thing. If it is, we'll get more of those kind of things in. Be great. Okay, the 10th generation or iteration of the Kona Hey Hey is here. What started in 1991 as a titanium hardtail is now a carbon fibre full suspension XC bike with 120mm of rear travel, 130 up front. I mean, you could almost call it down country, but I mean, that's a whole separate debate which we've had on the Tech Show before. What's interesting about it is we've got, well, it's backed up by pretty slack for XC geometry, 66-degree head angle, relatively long reach, and a straighter seat tube that allows the use of a much longer travel dropper post. And it's built for, well, long distance go far rides. And actually, long distance go far legend Corey Wallace has already won a 24-hour World Championships on one, which is quite impressive. Yeah, he rode like a prototype at the last World Champs, which I've got to say I didn't notice. Available as a bike or frame only from $5,299 or €6,499. Another legendary bike name that's gone through some twists and turns over history is, well, the Santa Cruz Bullet. So it was a long travel free ride bike that evolved into a longish travel free ride e-bike a few years ago when it was powered by the Shimano motor. Well, the new iteration of the Santa Cruz Bullet changes to Bosch Performance Line CX motor. It's still got lots of travel, 170mm. It's now got a built-in 600 watt-hour battery. So if you fancy bigger days out, then you've got to use the Powermore 250 watt range extender. I mean, the weights aren't too bad for a big travel e-bike, coming at around 22 kgs, but it does have the smaller battery. So if you want more range, you'll have to put the battery on and then it gets a bit heavier. The Bullet follows in the footsteps of the Valor. So that's Santa Cruz's newer or latest iteration of e-bike, which moves away from having the VPP, which is something that Santa Cruz has stuck with forever, and moves to, yeah, a 4-bar linkage, which is pretty unusual. Sizing is available from small to XXL, and they've all got MX wheel size as standard, so a smaller back wheel. And there's 4 specs to choose from, starting from £6,799, and that gets you a SRAM Eagle 70 transmission, and built on the Bullet C frame. And then you can go up to the £9,999. That's quite a lot of nines, basically 10k for the full bells and whistles SRAM Exo Axis build, and that's on the fancier, slightly lighter, more better carbon frame, the CC frame. We've done a video on EMBN with PTs, so if you're keen on that, head over to there and watch more. If you're heading out for bigger rides, you're going to need a bigger bag, and that's where Camelback's new Hog 20 comes in. Hog, yeah, stands for hauls lots of water and gear. I'm dyslexic, I'm really bad at those, but I'm pretty sure that's what it stands for. And yeah, the 20 stands for 20 litres. So yeah, 20 litres of internal storage split across 9 different internal compartments. And keeping all of that in place is a redesigned back panel, along with a kind of harness and chest straps, lots of adjustment. It's got a water-resistant material, so it features a DWR coating, and it's got waterproof zippers. There's also a waterproof liner as well. So it is set for the big country and backcountry stuff. Also, it's got a built-in Rico reflector, and you can put in Camelback's Level 2 certified back protector. Rico, for those that you don't know, I feel like lots of you may snowboard or ski or have seen these sort of little Rico things on other things. Effectively, it's a lightweight passive transponder that requires no power or activation to function, so thus it should last, well, indefinitely, and it shouldn't wear out. So if you're out in the wilds and you get lost, well, people can use the kind of sender, and the Rico will reflect back. So if you're heading out into the deeps of the backcountry and deeps into the wild, it's pretty useful insurance knowing that you hopefully will get found. The Hog 20 is yours for £180, including the 3-litre bladder. Intend Moto version 2 limited edition suspension. Okay, Intend make things differently, and well, they've got an interesting new rear shock and a new fork as well. So we'll dive into the rear shock. It's a coil air hybrid. We've had some of those before, but this one is different in the fact that the coil, it provides around a third of the total spring rate, with the air shock taking up the rest. The coil spring is a one-size-fits-all though, so unlike a kind of traditional coil shock where you have to kind of match the spring rate to you, this one apparently you don't need to. But for this novel system, it does have a kind of, I guess, feature in the fact that the air shock needs a minimum 200 psi to work, and that unusually means that it comes with a minimum rider weight of 85 kilos. So I might not be able to run it, or I'd have to run a really big backpack. Interesting. Up front, the forks use Inten's floated bushing system, which sees the bushing, it's an inverted design, so it uses, well, yeah, it stays, one bushing stays at the top and it kind of floats up, and it's said to reduce friction, but also improve stability as you move through the stroke. It also has the Albert's Nuco Comp surface treatment. Yeah, I had to look it up, and it gets a bit nerdy, but I think you understand what it is. So it's an aluminium oxide, aka a kind of anodized, but it's a polymer composite layer. Yeah, I didn't know what that was, but apparently it should make everything extra slidey and extra slippery, which is kind of what you want with suspension. If you want one, you'll have to be very quick as they're only making very limited numbers. You'll also have to, well, be in the EU to order it because they're only shipping to the EU. It's also a little bit spendy, so you're going to have to part with 4,344 euros. Full shock and fork specs are available on their website, so go have a look. Revel Bikes, as we know it, seems to be closing its doors. I mean, this is really sad news. Just, well, a couple of weeks ago at Sea Otter, we saw they'd got 3 new bikes. They've got 2 new trail bikes and a new e-bike. And it seems, well, the sad news that's been sent out to dealers is that they're planning to sort of like close their doors. Why this is happening, well, it's harder to imagine, really. I mean, we know that the market is very tough at the moment. There's lots of bikes out there. Revel say they've exhausted all options, but effectively have just run out of funds to support the business. So they're winding it down. It could still be saved. Somebody could step in with lots of money and rebuild a brand. But yeah, I think it just reiterates that it's a really tough market. And when we see the volatility and kind of unknowns that we've seen in very recent times, especially if you were trying to bring bikes into Revel's core market, which was the US, it's definitely going to be an extra factor. It is really tough and sad to hear, to be honest. And unfortunately, we've got more sad news now from Italy, and a real loss for mountain bike. EXT's technical director and mentor, Franco Fratten, has passed away. So our thoughts are with EXT and Franco's family and friends at what must be a very sad time. Right, that's all not very cheery, is it? Bike brands closing and people departing this mortal coil far too early. So we'll try and end with some positive news, and here's a wonderful bike to hopefully cheer you up. This is the Crank Brothers Nika bike. We saw it at Sea Otter, and effectively it was a build that Crank Brothers did to help support Nika's Get More Kids on Bikes. So it's kind of got the really cool paint job, it's dripping in custom parts. It was all sort of like themed around Nika's, well, goal of getting more kids onto mountain bikes. So they're saved by the trail theme. Yeah, you see the Saved by the Bell, Saved by the Trail. It all makes sense. Well, now you can bid on it. You can enter the competition and win an opportunity to, well, win this one-of-a-kind masterpiece. So, yeah, head on over to Crank Brothers to see more on that. Quiz time! Last week, I asked you, I was kind of feedbacking off some feedback. So a wonderful feedback loop, all about dropper posts. And somebody had asked, who had got the first one? And yeah, 16 of you had got it right, which is the height right, which was back in the very early 80s. So lots of people on screen now, so well done, congratulations. And yeah, the height right was designed by Joe Breeze of Breezer Bikes, and now of the museum in Fairfax, which is the Mountain Bike Museum. It was a really clever system. I kind of chatted with him actually sort of last week, and he was saying that other people had got similar systems where they'd put just coil springs inside their seat posts so they could undo the quick release. But he realised that took quite a lot of setup, so his bolt-on height right just worked on loads of bikes. So yeah, it did work, to the one condescending commenter that was like, it didn't really work. Well, it did. At the time, we'd got brakes that didn't work, and we didn't really have group sets at that time. So anyway, fun stuff. Right, quiz question for this coming week. Right, we chatted to Jeff. What should we do it on? Okay, right. We've chatted to the legendary frame builder that is Jeff Steber. So, what was the first intense mountain bike? Answers in the comments below, please. Okay, we've got our hashtag AskGMBNTech questions section back. Very good. If you've got a burning question about, well, any tech, use the hashtag AskGMBNTech and, well, we'll be able to answer it on here. And we've got a question here from Timo Lotov. He wants to try out clipless pedals and he's searching for pedals and shoes and he's getting confused with all the brands and all the different pedals and options. Will they all work together? Is every Spud system the same? He likes the mallet pedals from Crank Brothers and he likes shoes from Shimano. Both Spud, SBD, but yeah, they kind of look different. Okay, first, SBD is a Shimano term. It's Shimano Pedaling Dynamics, and effectively, it was the first dedicated mountain bike clipless system. And we say clipless because we had like clips and straps on our bikes, so that's why we use the kind of weird terminology. And we talk about mountain bike shoes and we talk about mountain bike pedals. Essentially, we're talking about a 2-bolt standard. So with road, well, actually, they've got 3-bolt, they've got 2-bolt, they've got a 4-bolt setup. I'm sure there's going to be more. There's lots of weirdness in road. But for mountain bike, we've actually stuck to a pretty good 2-bolt pattern. And yeah, we can definitely confirm that Crank Brothers pedals and Shimano shoes work really well because that's what we use here on the channel. So you need to make sure that you're running the right cleats because that's the specific bit. They're going to be a 2-bolt pattern, so that's how they mount to the shoe. But normally they come with the pedals. I guess you might have got confused. We were talking about Crank Brothers shoes last week and how those shoes come with the Crank Brothers cleats pre-installed. That's just Crank Brothers just being quite nice because if you buy the Shimano shoes, well, they'll just have the empty slots to put in whatever cleats you want. Yeah, you might need to use some spacers depending on how you're clipping in. So if you're doing Shimano to Crank Brothers, you might need a spacer, or with the Crank Brothers pedals, you've got these traction pads that sit either side and they can change the sort of height of the pedal. Crank Brothers have got a tool that you can use to help find it. They've got a really fantastic website that gives you loads of tips as well. And effectively, you want the right interface of how it all clips together. It can be a little bit of trial and error, but there's a really good guidance on the Crank Brothers website about how to get the right height. Okay, pins, the traction pins, those probably give you more traction actually when you're unclipped. So those ones are kind of more subtle and there's more nuanced. But yeah, different shoes, different pedals, they can all work nicely together. Hope that helps. Okay, now to my favourite section, which is comments. Oh yeah. We're talking about all of the things from Sea Otter. So if you haven't watched the videos from Sea Otter, we've got 3 banging videos of all the tech. I mean, I'm trying to think of how many minutes. One was kind of 34. We've got over an hour of Sea Otter footage. So it's almost like you're being there. Obviously, you might not have the sun on your back, but you can imagine. So these are all the comments from our tech show that we did out there in Monterey. And first one is from Tim. Hi, Tim. Always nice to read your comments. Feels like we're back to pre-COVID levels of Stoke. So many talking points, some incremental gains, some reinventions, but awesome signs for the future. I'd agree with that. It was really exciting. Lots of positivity. Anthony Nazal, 1958. No talk of those frame or head tube vibration dampers that seem to be all in the rage in downhill a year ago. Did you guys see any of them out there or see anything about them? Or is it a trend that has sparked and burned out? We did see them out there. I saw them on quite a lot of racers' bikes. We focused on the tech, but there is dual slalom happening. There is downhill happening at Sea Otter as well, but we just didn't have time to get it all in. But yeah, tune mass dampers, that's the vibration things you're talking about. They are on bikes, and yeah, I feel we'll see more of them, but we'll have a whole video from the first downhill and first enduro coming up, well, fairly soon. Okay, this is a fun comment here from Joey McMee, and he's mashing up lots of terms and terminology. He's sort of requesting a single lightweight aluminium hardtail frame, short travel fork, marketed as a flat bar E gravel. bear with me. I know it's a lot of triggering words for a lot of people, but he's also saying you could do a drop bar option. Probably that's even more triggering. It's like a triple word score of triggering words. But he's saying it's a no-brainer for the industry because we need to capture a wider cyclo-curious public. And those for sort of like looking to upgrade their old commuter bikes. So keep it light, simple, hydraulic brakes, mechanical gears, no need for a big range or electronic shifting or carbon. I know this is going to be triggering for some of you, but I think that's a really good idea. And for me, that's why I touched on flat bar gravel, which I know seems like a daft idea. We could say short travel hardtail, but they are designed for, well, yeah, classic going long, going far. This is off the back of Forbidden launching they're calling, not me, they're calling a flat bar gravel bike. And my support of it is that, well, if it's this entry point for lots of people to come in, and you're right, if someone's got a commuter already and they need to feel the next step, it might be a big leap to get something like this. Like if you're just on a commuter bike, leaping up to that might be too far. So yeah, flat bar gravel could be a good thing. It is triggering, so dive into the comments if that's upset you. Alan Busby, 7894 says, I like gravel. It reminds me of how I first started to ride a mountain bike. Relatively skinny tyres and fully rigid. Well, quite. And mountain biking's grown and grown and it's very fun. So we should embrace the gravel for us. Okay, what are we looking forward to this coming week? Well, we're continuing the international flavour with the channel because we've got a tour of the legend that is Hans No Way Ray's garage. This will blow your mind, I guarantee. We've also got a factory tour of FSA out in Taiwan. Lots and lots of interesting things. So join the debate in the comments down below if you haven't already. And yeah, let me know what your favourite bit of news is. Cheers.